Morning, everybody. Oh, you fell. That's better. I have a question. What does a foreign occupying army look like to you in your mind? What would you consider it to look like? And I think we have been misled by constant propaganda about Russia and China and, Korea, this and that. All of these external forces we've been led to fear through our 10,000 hour indoctrination camp that we call school. But I argue that a foreign occupying army actually speaks the same language as you do. They were born on the same streets, and they are your neighbors, but they work for interests which fly in direct contrast to yours. And that is exactly what we're dealing with now. Okay, maybe I was exaggerating a little by saying that they grew up in the same neighborhoods. We all know that politicians have been made from day one, but not necessarily the actual army, which is the police. Let's frame a little better here. There we go. And so I think it's really important to not hit buttons on my steering wheel when I'm trying to make a video. But I think it's even more important to learn true history. Your rights were taken from you long before you were born. You were sold to the state before you were born. Okay, your parents thought they were doing a good thing right after you were born, I guess. Birth certificate. Got to be born to do that. They thought they were doing a good thing, but they were indeed selling you to a corporation and allowing you to be traded on. And that happened, I believe, in, I think, 1933. That happened-ish. But even before that, what happened in the Civil War was states' rights were taken away. The war never was about slavery. Never. And every state was Confederate. Okay, I want you to go look up words you don't understand. That's not to be rude. I had to as well. But we take these emotional meanings to the words that were given in school. Confederates are the bad guys, the slave owners. They always tie something emotional onto that which they want you to believe because it makes it easier to believe one side and ignore the other. Anyway, so yeah, the Civil War ended your rights, and they haven't come back. In fact, since then, how many times have executive orders been used in times of emergency? We literally just saw that happen in 2020 or late 2019, early 2020, with the Rona. And that has been happening since the Civil War. In fact, what was Abe Lincoln did, what is it called? Executive Order 001. And guess what that one was? That one was to put us all under martial law. And did you know that it hasn't been lifted? Every time there's been an opportunity to lift it, it's just been reinstated and re-upped. Dude, you're not free. You're free only in your minds. And I guess that's the most important part, but you could be more free if you only realized that you're not. All it takes is realizing that you're not, and then taking the steps laid out in front of you. Just stop complying. All you have to do is stop complying. But since the 1860s, they've been able to just trample you just by using the word emergency. It gets you to think that there's actually something behind it. But these people lie with every breath they take. What makes you think that they're telling the truth about an emergency? What makes you think that they're telling the truth about anything? And it's just really sad to see people content to be fed information. It's like a mom with her child. You know, here comes the airplane. You know, it's like that, dude. And people just eat it up like little babies. No. Truth does not come easy. Truth does not arrive at you. You have to arrive at truth. And there's just no two ways about it. But so many people think that they have found the truth on CNN or on Fox News or on MSNBC or on C-SPAN even. You know, there's no truth to be found there. That's what you're shown. You know, we all watched the same movies growing up. We all saw Wizard of Oz, and we all saw that the man behind the curtain was nobody. He was just a snake oil salesman, traveling gypsy, if you will. But still everybody sees the wizard of this world and they believe his tricks. Why is that? It's because they've allowed his essence into their home in the form of television, in the form of the music they listen to, in radio. They allow the wizard into their home and into their hearts, and they consume the wizard. This is my body. All you got to do is step away from it a little bit. A lot of people, I've noticed, wake up in jail. And I've thought, why could that be? You know, you are just surrounded by evil and hatred. Well, yeah, makes it easier to spot. And also, you're kind of sequestered away from the daily grind. And just the pressure of propaganda, which we constantly face in the free world. Dude, propaganda doesn't exist in a free world. And if one side has propaganda, both sides have propaganda. If both sides have propaganda, there's not both sides, there's one side. I know that logic doesn't quite track. Consider it abridged, because it does. It just takes a couple more steps. But how much longer? Guys, I just saw a lady get flipped and concussed and started her agonal breathing for recording. For why? What did she do? She bruised somebody's ego. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what a foreign occupying army looks like to me. Where you go outside and you try to record your government servants, public servants at work, and you get flipped over their shoulder onto the pavement. That is tyranny. That is a foreign occupying army. I don't know what else you expect it to look like. Even if it was Russia sending an army over, don't you think that they'd all speak English? Sure, it would be terrifying having a language barrier, but it wouldn't be reasonable. You'd want your soldiers speaking the same exact language. And here's the kicker. The same foreign occupying force currently occupying the United States also occupies all of the nations that your propaganda tells you to fear. They occupy Russia. They occupy, I don't know. I don't really care who else. It's all the same. There's only a few nations, I think 2 nations left, that aren't owned by the same bank. And they're peaceful. They don't want to attack us. Russia might be one of them, actually. I think Russia is. So maybe I was wrong about the peaceful thing, but do we know that? I don't know. I don't. And that's out of ignorance. I've never been to Russia. I can't say what does or doesn't happen there. But I don't know. I'll have to check on that. But there's a few remaining countries that aren't on Rothschild central banks. And I don't really care if they're peaceful or not, to be honest. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what's happening here, and, to my family, and to my friends' families, and what's going to happen to my children's children. Because right now, where we're at, think of what life was like in the 60s. Everybody says, oh, it was so much better. It was so much better. Music was better. I'll give it that. I wasn't around in the 60s. All I see is, what's been recorded, and it does seem better. Everything seems a little less stressful. And then you go back a little further than that, the farther you go back, the less stressed out people were. But it's been a steady slope of tyranny ever since the Civil War. And I think it's too late to ignore. Ooh, I love when I rhyme by accident. Seuss in the house. Yeah, it's definitely getting way too late to ignore. In fact, it's getting so late in this game that people are actually starting to see. People are just waking up by the sheer abundance of tyranny. It's really astounding. I know I say that a lot, but it is. But not quick enough. Not quick enough. Here's my contention. I think that we thinking men and women need to engage in the same games as our oppressors. They learned from, what's that guy's name? Freud's nephew. Oh man, why can't I remember it? Edgar. I don't know his name. I don't know. It's the father of modern propaganda, though. Jeez. It'll come to me right after I exit this video. I'm speaking off the cuff. You're gonna have to forgive me. This is my first cup of coffee, and it's like all there. Yeah, man, I don't know. But anyway, we need to take pages out of their books. If they are going to use psychological propaganda tactics, so do we. I mean, they're not impervious to brainwashing. They're just humans. So I think it needs to start with communication between like-minded people. Just unabashed communication. And feel free to reach out to me, matznickscott@gmail.com. It's matznickscott@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from some people. This is getting old. I can't afford anything anymore. And you know what? In 1933, it became illegal to hoard gold. Excuse me, what? And you people still have the gall to say that this is a free country and I can't hoard gold or silver? Get out of here. This is not a free country. We are enslaved, and it doesn't need violence to get us out of this. All it needs is to stop. We just stop complying 100%. Go to your jobs, use the good parts of their system and ignore the theft, ignore the tyranny. Fight back against it if you need to, but just stop complying. Just say no. Barter works just fine. There's always somebody that has something you want that wants something that you have. Always. If it's not an object, a service, always. I guarantee it. And we are so inundated by people that it would be no struggle whatsoever. What are we so afraid of? That we have become so addicted to this system. It's nothing that deserves our addiction. What's the best thing we have right now? Saturday night. It ain't worth it, guys. It's not worth it. Not worth sticking up for. It's time to change it. And we got to get together to do that. We need open communication and dialogue. We need a think tank. It's not going to start by just fractured videos and thoughts.